Hello everyone, and welcome to another vlog. As you can see behind me, I am at Disneyland in California, the original Disneyland, Walt Disney's Magic Kingdom. Excited to be back, and today we're going to go over some interesting facts and little known things about the park. Some of them I didn't even know before. So come along with me, we'll go explore those things.
Alrighty, so into Disneyland we go. Under the famous archway with the Here You Leave Today and Enter the World of Yesterday, Tomorrow, and Fantasy sign, and past the attraction posters into good old Main Street, USA.
Well, it's been a while since I've been here, and it's very nice to be back, starting out on good old Main Street, USA. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and start exploring, and here we go.
Alright, so we're going to start out with a fun fact about the Disneyland Railroad.
There's a little known secret in here that I didn't even know about, and I want to show all of you. I didn't know this until recently.
So once you're in the train station, past the Disneyland Railroad memorabilia, which is actually pretty cool, I recommend checking out these displays as well. You'll see a board with the various trains and of course a map of the park and some lights on the board.
So you can actually see where the trains currently are within the park. Did not know this until recently.
Yeah, so we can see that there's a train just in Frontierland now, and then another one approaching in Tomorrowland very close to Main Street. So you can actually see where the trains are as they're about to arrive. Pretty handy. Another thing to point out at the Main Street station is that there are currently two tracks that you can see, two train tracks. And this goes back to when Disneyland first opened. There were 2 and even 3 railroads you could ride. And so there's a remnant of that at the train station. It's only at this portion of the train station. And you can see it on board the train here as well. But little known fact, that was actually in service and wrapped around the park as well.
Before we get rolling, we just want to remind everyone.
Many town squares have cannons to commemorate wars and veterans and things of that nature. And
so you can see they have their cannons on display. These are actually from the French Army, I believe, from the 1800s. So they are historical, they do go back, and they've been placed in Disneyland since its opening in 1955. It's something people easily walk past, but a little bit of history here.
another fun fact on Main Street is the flagpole itself in the middle of town square with the dedication plaque.
The base of the pole was actually picked up by an Imagineer when the park was going to launch, and it was just scrap metal off of the LA freeway from a light pole.
He made sure not to tell them he was with the Disney company, so he knew he'd be overcharged. So he was able to get this basically as scrap metal, and it made its way into Disneyland Park, and it's been here since its opening in 1955. And another fun fact is just behind me you see the being constructed City Hall and I think the continuation of the City Hall just behind there. But you see these trees here? Those are eucalyptus trees that were original trees to the Dominguez family farm. They owned this property before Walt Disney purchased it for Disneyland. And those trees are the reason why Adventureland is on the side that it's on. You see, Adventureland was going to be on the side where Tomorrowland is, and Tomorrowland was going to be where Adventureland is. But they did a little switcheroo when they realized those trees would work very well for the Jungle Cruise. And I'm actually really grateful for that. I like that Adventureland, Frontierland, New Orleans Square kind of all goes in the direction that it does. And, you know, Tomorrowland can have the Harbor Boulevard side of the park where you can't do much expansion. So kind of an interesting fact. That is the reason, like if you look at original drawings of Disneyland, original concept art, it originally was going to have the two themed lands in opposite sides. And thankfully, thanks to these trees, that is not what happened, and they did a little flipperoo.
So yeah, where the Adventureland entrance currently is would have been on the opposite side of the park, where Tomorrowland is, just over there, if they stuck to the original plan.
Yeah, I don't like that. This way is much better. I like it the way it is. Now, I personally love Main Street USA. It's one of my favorite lands. I love the theming here. It feels so welcoming, so nice. But it's kind of interesting that, you know, it's based off memories some of the Imagineers had, but also specific buildings. But actually, Main Street USA was largely modeled off of Harper Goff's memory of Fort Collins, Colorado.
So yeah, Main Street itself is based on a lot of memories both Walt Disney and his Imagineers had of kind of romanticized versions of their hometowns. But a lot of what you see on Main Street USA, while again harkening back to some memories even Walt had of Marceline, there's even a Hotel Marceline for Marceline, Missouri, mentioned on Main Street near the lockers and the test wall. The actual kind of a lot of the buildings themselves were based on buildings in Fort Collins, Colorado that Imagineer Harper Goff remembered. And there's a couple of those references we see here, especially with the City Hall building, which has since been torn down. There's a similar building that was in Fort Collins, Colorado that you see here. Similar architecture, everything. And even the fire station with Walt's apartment, based on another building within Fort Collins, Colorado, or there's similarities there as well. And kind of the most apparent similarity is between the Emporium, as you see here. The architecture here is similar to a storefront on Main Street within Fort Collins, Colorado. And you can see that storefront here. It's a corner store, similar roof line, similar bottom floor to the Emporium that we all know and love today. So pretty clear resemblance between these Fort Collins buildings and the Disneyland Main Street buildings.
Now here's another fun fact. You might have seen these Native American statues on both Main Street and Frontierland, and there's a story behind those as well.
So the statue's in front of the music store on Main Street currently, but in the past it was actually a tobacco shop that was here, and you could actually buy tobacco in Disneyland, and this was what historically would note those types of shops. So he still stands here in front of what is now the music shop on Main Street. And we'll quickly jump to Frontierland, where there's another Native American statue in front of a store. It's a similar story as Main Street. There used to be tobacco sold here as well. It has since, for a very long time, been converted just to a normal store and now sells pins instead of tobacco.
And that means this shop, right next to the shooting gallery, which has been here since opening day, once sold tobacco. No more though. There's also a little Easter egg on Main Street USA that I want to show you that I don't think many people are aware of. And it is right here.
So within the Baby Care Center, if we enter in here, in the waiting area, there's a turn-of-the-century baby photo on the wall, and that is none other than baby Walt Disney.
All right, the next fun fact is for the Sleeping Beauty Castle behind me and the drawbridge that you see right here.
So this drawbridge has only been lowered twice since Disneyland's opening, once in 1955 during the grand opening, and then again in 1983 when Fantasyland was redone. And so currently the bridge is just fully stuck in place, will not be opening or closing again given how they've reinforced it and adjusted it for modern day. But there were two times when the drawbridge was opened and closed. Now it's just a nice footpath. It's probably better it doesn't open and close that often, because just look at how many people are using it currently. Probably be a little inconvenient. It's probably good the way it is to just enter the castle.
So yeah, this drawbridge will be permanently here till Kingdom Come. Get it? All right, moving on. All right, our next fun fact is about Sleeping Beauty Castle itself, the centerpiece of Disneyland. And it's actually that this, what you see here, was originally going to be the back of the castle. What happened was Walt Disney, when he was looking at the model of the castle, he based it largely on a castle in Germany. And what is currently the back of the castle was the front. And he took his hand and did a little switcheroo. And luckily he did, because this is the castle and view we all know and love. I can't imagine it being the other way.
But at one point, this would have been the front. It would have been the other way. This would have been the front of the castle as originally conceptualized. But luckily, this is now what we see. What was going to be the back is the front, as it should be, and as it will stay. So, a little interesting fact about the centerpiece of Disneyland, Sleeping Beauty Castle.
Once again, a switcheroo pays off.
Okay, so our next fun fact takes us back to Adventureland.
All right, the next Disneyland secret takes us to the Enchanted Tiki Room, and it's very specific to this Walt Disney original attraction. So let's go take a look. So the Tiki Room was originally going to be a restaurant. The idea was people would actually sit down and eat in here.
So the concept was the birds would be doing their usual show and singing, but this would be a full service restaurant. It's not just the sit-down show that people currently watch today. The idea was originally this would be a full restaurant. And so that is why this is the only Disneyland attraction with a dedicated restroom. Right next to it, you can see here. And the closest thing it has to a restaurant is the Tiki Juice Bar.
But yeah, pretty interesting little secrets of the Enchanted Tiki Room. All right, now let's look at some of the little-known facts of Frontierland. All right, the next fun fact is part of Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. So I'll go show you those right now.
So one of the things to note on Big Thunder is that the mining equipment, a lot of it is actually genuine mining equipment. So throughout the line you'll see some of the various mine features that they have, and some of the equipment itself is actually authentic. So that's pretty interesting. Goes back to the Old West days. And then another thing to note is this town that you see at the end of Big Thunder, kind of the Old West town, actually dates back to the early days of Disneyland. This was actually part of what was called Rainbow Ridge at the time, before being rebranded to Big Thunder for, when that ride launched. And there's even a sign that mentions Rainbow Ridge. This whole set piece, also interestingly, was Lillian Disney's favorite set piece within Disneyland. So she liked this the most, and it is pretty cool. It's a little miniature, almost like a miniature golf style Old West town. It's very scaled down, but the details are pretty well done. You see it at the end of the ride, like you see here. It's pretty well done how they've done this, but they've preserved a lot of what the town looked like. They've just moved some of the buildings, did a little more like elevation with the buildings as well. But with the Rainbow Ridge aspect, you actually would pass through the town. Here's a photo from way back in the day when that was a ride. And that was more of like a slow mine train ride. It was called Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland at the time. But it's pretty good how this is still preserved from that era and pretty well intact. And again, a lot of details on all these buildings. So if you take a look when you're in line, You can see all those things, and again, the nod to the good old Rainbow Ridge. Oh, here comes a train as we speak for Big Thunder. One thing to note is you can actually see, when you're on the Mark Twain, some remnants of the mine train through Nature's Wonderland. There's this abandoned sort of train track near the Big Thunder area, and this was actually part of that attraction when it was in the park. So kind of interesting. You can see the little old remnants of that that ride when it was here, and there's parts that are still visible through Frontierland, and again, a very well preserved part in Big Thunder. But the attraction itself would wind through some of the rivers of America. You can see here, this is that track as part of that attraction. So there it is in full use, and then in modern day it's gone. There's also this tunnel that you can see in Frontierland, again across from Big Thunder, and this tunnel actually is part of that attraction as well. Another interesting thing in Frontierland is the shaman Native American that you see while on the Mark Twain riverboat. This animatronic, they actually repurposed the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln animatronic figure. So it's not, they've changed up the outside, but in terms of this figure itself, it is a reuse of the Abraham Lincoln Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln figure from Main Street, USA. And you can kind of see that with that movement when he sits up, similar to what Lincoln does. So a little bit of Abe Lincoln on the rivers of America. Another thing to point out in Frontierland is the Frontierland train station. This used to be the main station before it was put back by the berm when they created New Orleans Square and created the New Orleans Square train station. But this was the Frontierland train station, and the story behind this is Walt Disney actually asked one of his animators / Imagineers, Ward Kimball, if he could use his train station that he had for his railroad. And here's Walt and Ward Kimball attending a railroad exhibition, so both very big railroad enthusiasts. Kimball's train station, as you can see here, it was asked by Walt, can we use this in Disneyland? He did say no, and so Walt made a replica of this station with an expansion in his backyard, similar to what Walt had, the backyard railroad. And so again, and the train station was under construction, while I was here, but the station itself is modeled exactly off of Ward Kimball's. So Ward did not want to give his up, and actually didn't after all. Walt just built a copy of it for Disneyland.
All right, the next fun fact in Frontierland is this giant stump of a petrified tree just behind me. I'll tell you that story.
So the story behind this tree that you see, this petrified tree, is that Walt and Lillian Disney were both traveling across the western U.S., and Walt loved stopping in unique gift shops, especially for the mineral hall he was going to be building for Frontierland and Disneyland. So he was looking for rocks, minerals, and various things like petrified wood. And Lillian got very annoyed with how often Walt was going into these shops, and so he jokingly bought her this giant petrified tree. So it's basically a gag gift that Lillian gave back to Disneyland.
Yeah, pretty funny to think that Lillian Disney was like, you know what, no, I'm good. Disneyland can have that. We don't really need that in our backyard. But now you know it's here. You're welcome. And now you know the story behind it. Well, those are some of the most interesting facts in the wilderness.
Alright, this next fun fact takes us to New Orleans Square, and specifically in the 21 Royal area. This area has the Fortune Red pirate, and it's a punny name for one. You can get your fortune told here. Currently, this is in between two areas. There's a courtyard on one side, the Pirates of the Caribbean store on one side, and the Haunted Mansion store on the other. But that was not always the original concept for this area.
But originally this whole area would have been a pirate-themed arcade with pirate games galore.
So yeah, Fortune Red is the only remnant, the only thing that made it from the arcade concept into this area. He's still here. He's been here for years. You can get your fortune read for just 25 cents. I do not have a quarter on me, so my fortune will remain a mystery. But nonetheless, you can visit Fortune Red if you're here. And there's still some Pirates merch, always as an option.
All right, we're gonna go to another little known spot, little known secret in New Orleans Square, near the Rivers of America section. I'll show you that right now.
So just over here near the Tom Sawyer raft boat and Davy Crockett canoe area, if you walk your way towards here, it's near Pirates of the Caribbean. Walking this path, there is something that harkens to an idea, a concept that never reached fruition as well. But there's still a little remnant, and it's just up ahead over here. There's some people testing out the Tom Sawyer rafts, getting ready for them to go. But you'll notice there's a bricked tunnel here that says 1764. You might have walked past as many times as I have. It's right near the Haunted Mansion as well. And the original concept was this tunnel was going to connect the Haunted Mansion, Tom Sawyer Island, and Pirates of the Caribbean as one united pirate-themed area.
Now, this idea, of course, never actually came to fruition, but the tunnel still remains sealed up, harkening back to when that united theming between those three areas would have happened. So it's still here at Rivers of America in Disneyland, and it's a little known fact, a little known section.
And there's this retheming of the Tom Sawyer rafts to Pirate's Lair.
So still some slight theming, but not 100% what was envisioned.
And just continuing the pirate theme in New Orleans Square, there is this anchor here, and it says it's Lafitte's anchor, said to be from a pirate ship commanded by Jean Lafitte in the Battle of New Orleans, January 8th, 1815. So it ties in with the general New Orleans area, but also the pirate theming that is pervasive in the area as well. And even near Tom Sawyer Island, there is a treasure box. It says real pirate chest found by Tom, Huck, and Joe. So continued pirate theming, slight pirate theming.
Now we just need to find the key. Hopefully you dig that fun fact. Sorry to keep doing the puns. And that one was actually a really, really dated pun, so even worse. All right, we'll keep moving on. The puns are just getting worse with time. All right, the next fun fact is near Sleeping Beauty Castle, right next to Snow White's wishing well area. And here it is.
So these Snow White statues were a gift from an Italian sculptor, but you'll notice something about them, and that is that the dwarfs are the same size as Snow White herself. So to remedy this, but still use this gift, these sculptures, they had all the dwarves on the bottom and then Snow White at the top of this waterfall. So that way the size doesn't seem as apparent that she was made the same size as the dwarfs. That was a quick fix that the Imagineers did for this gift that Disneyland received.
All right, the next fun fact has to do with the King Arthur Carousel, but hold your horses. I'll tell you it in a second.
So Walt Disney wanted his carousel to have all galloping horses, not kind of the other animals or other kind of more stationary horses that would be around. So they're all galloping horses that you see in the carousel, and that was a request from Walt Disney, and that legacy continues to today. So everyone is galloping along.
All right, the next fun fact is in Fantasyland, and it's a remnant of Disneyland's past. And that is that there are ticket booths from back in the day when Disneyland did the ticket booklets. You know, e-ticket, ABCD, the other ones, for the attractions that people would, pay tickets per ride. And there's a couple of those booths still standing, including just behind me over here, where the Alice in Wonderland book is. That mushroom was actually a ticket booth for the ride.
So at one time, this was actually a ticket booth window, the mushroom that you see here. Didn't look like there was much room for that ticket booth, but it must have been enough.
So a little bit of Disneyland history still preserved within the park. Disneyland of the past, the ticket book days. Now we'll go take a look at the It's a Small World ticket booth. Vamonos.
And if you walk towards It's a Small World, just down the way from Fantasyland, you'll notice that there's another building that looks like a ticket booth, because it is. We have a remnant ticket booth for It's a Small World, still intact over here in the park. So people used to present their tickets to go on the ride right here, and they would enter the Small World line. And a lot of people just walk past this now, and it's not quite clear what it is or known what it is, but now you know.
I guess you could say this is a small booth after all. Right?
Alright, for our last fun fact, we will head to the future Tomorrowland. Let's head on in.
All right, the next fun fact has to do with the Star Tours attraction. Let's go inside and take a look.
So the C-3PO they have in line by the Star Speeder has an actual costume from the movie itself. So this animatronic uses an actual Star Wars costume. Get a little closer to it. The line's moving quickly. But there you go, C-3PO from the movie.
All right, so maybe you didn't know that, but now you 3CP know. All right, let's move on. Alrighty, well, the time has come to depart. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you found some of the things I pointed out interesting, things you didn't know. Let me know if there's anything else in the comments that's good to know or cool to know about Disneyland. But anyway, off I go. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.